Hello, everyone, and welcome to AMF. Everyone has been talking about the Kenyan film industry, its strength and its flaws. But do you know the history of the Kenyan film industry, the first film, its actors, and its impact to the society that day? Well, don't worry. Here is AMF with the Kenyan film industry that led us to where we are today. The early colonial era, 1900 to 1950s. The Kenyan film industry began during the colonial period. The first film to be shot in Kenya was the 1931 movie Trade Horn. During this time, films shot in Kenya were a majorly Western production that portrayed Africa through a Eurocentric lens, often focusing on wildlife and exotic landscapes rather than local culture or stories. But I wouldn't want to fully believe that this was the beginning of the Kenyan film industry. Rather, it would be better if I say that this era was only involving Kenya by shooting on our location and telling our culture in their own way. The local Kenyans rarely appeared as central characters. Instead, they were usually in supporting or stereotypical roles, with the colonial narrative of the so-called shaping Africa with the way it was depicted in a film. Post-independence era 1960 to 1970s. After Kenya gained independence in 1963, there was a shift in national identity, with films like Mlevi in 1968, directed and produced by Raghbir Singh, starring Oliver Litondo, was made. The film was a remake of the superhit 1955 Bollywood film Devdas. The film was the first film to be in Kenya as the lead cast and other supporting actors, though the crew was mixed with Hindu and Westerners. But, unfortunately, the film wasn't properly stored and thus up to date. No one can trace it and have a clue where it could be. The film industry thus continued to be nominated by Western filmmakers. Movies like Born Free, about a lion conservationist, and Out of Africa 1955 focused on European experience in Kenya rather than the Kenyan perspective. It was during this time the Kenyan government established the Kenyan Film Corporation (KFC) in 1966 to oversee film production and support the growth of the industry. However, there was little film production due to the limited resources and technical expertise. The emergence of local filmmakers, 1980s to 1990s. In this period of the 80s and 90s, local filmmakers began to emerge, though it was in a very small percentage. Filmmakers like Ngugi wa Thiong'o created works like The Trial of Dedan Kimathi, which told about Kenya's resistance and national identity. However, due to censorship and limited funding, filmmakers found it hard to produce and distribute content. There were some creative barriers too, like when we reference the Films and Stage Play Act of 1962, which censored film content. This law imposed restrictions that hindered local filmmakers from exploring sensitive topics such as political and social issues. The rise of digital filmmaking in the 2000s. In the 2000s, digital technology made filmmaking more accessible to Kenyans. The presence of digital cameras, editing software, allowed filmmakers to produce content on a lower budget, which led to the birth of Riverwood. It was during this time that in 2009, when the first film award function, the Kalasha Award, was launched. Riverwood. That's how the Kenyan film industry, for those who don't know. It was often characterized with low budget, locally produced, and addressed every Kenyan's experience. Although they were criticized for low production quality, these films resonated with local audiences due to their authenticity and affordability. It was during this time that Nairobi Half-Life 2012, directed by David Tosh Getonga, gained international attention. It was a milestone bringing more international focus in Kenya. The growth of international recognition, 2010s. Kenyan filmmakers started breaking into the global stage with films that showcased diverse narratives. This era was characterized with films that addressed critical issues and showcased Kenyan culture and stories from a fresh perspective. For example, Supermodel 2018, a story about a terminally ill girl who dreams of becoming a superhero, was widely acclaimed and won awards at the international festivals. OTT platforms like Netflix and Showmax made it possible for Kenyan filmmakers to distribute their content globally. Rafiki 2018, directed by Wanuri Kahiu, became internationally recognized for its portrayal of a same-sex romance. Despite having facing censorship from Kenyan government, it was the first Kenyan film to be featured at the Cannes Festival. The present era 2020s. The current film industry is vibrant and dynamic, with more young filmmakers and actors gaining recognition. Recent productions such as The Letter 2019 and Poacher 2020 explore social issues and local narratives, winning awards and proving that Kenya has a place in the international film community. The government has increased its support for the film industry, introducing tax rebates for filmmakers and investing in film infrastructure. However, challenges remain, including funding, piracy, and the need for more distribution network to showcase Kenyan films locally and internationally. Now that is the full history of the Kenyan cinema. We've seen it had its highs and lows. Today, the Kenyan film industry is on the cusp of major growth, with the high potential for development due to the rise of streaming platforms, government initiatives, and a growing appetite for local stories. The industry continues to face challenges, but there is hope for a thriving film industry. As more as Kenyan films gain local and international attention, there is hope for the Kenyan film industry to be bigger and bigger as years pass by. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comment below what are your thoughts. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay tuned.